In this age, it's difficult to find someone who's never played a video game. There's been a debate on how video games affect kids. Do they really make them violent?
I mostly play FIFA.
Civilization.
Call of Duty, FIFA.
I occasionally play Call of Duty.
First-person shooters such as Call of Duty,
The Sims.
NHL 2013, Skyrim,
Counter-Strike,
Bioshock 2.
I played Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed a couple times.
basically any rated mature game.
Clearly all types of students play video games. We asked them some questions about this. After playing games like Call of Duty, do they know how to use guns and explosives?
No, I don't think so.
Not at all. No. It's also just unrealistic because when I die, I can just start playing again. So.
No. I'd more know how to use it from like a movie or something.
No, because I would be way too scared to shoot a gun in real life.
Oh, I bet you didn't see me. How do video games affect kids in reality, if at all?
A little bit. I don't think they encourage me to be violent, but you know, if I lose a game or something, obviously you get a little frustrated.
I think the only way they would affect what people do outside is if the person is mentally unstable.
I guess in that just because if you're playing a video game, you're not doing anything else productive.
I definitely think it affects kids altogether because, you know, it's sometimes on your mind. I could say sometimes I've been in class and thinking about, oh, I can't wait to get home and play. So I definitely think it does have some impact in school and just like outside of it. But I'm not one of those kids where video games controls my life at all.
It might promote it a little bit, like saying that it's cool to like shoot stuff, but I don't think a normal person would be affected by that.
No, I just use video games as a stress reliever, basically.
Look, in some cases, sure, you know, some kid playing Call of Duty and then he goes out and thinks he's G.I. Joe. I'm sure it happens. It hasn't happened to me though.
I think that, like anything else, you know, playing video games in moderation is fine, but I think there are some people out there that get too involved in it, get too wrapped up in it, and it takes away a lot of their time where they could be more productive. Not only that, I think some people maybe lose touch with reality every now and then and get a little bit too into the video game. And, you know, violent video games, Gears of War, Call of Duty, I think that you can't deny that there has to be some impact on some individuals playing those games. I think average people, it won't impact them, but you know, if someone has, you know, some issues with violence or anger or is someone's unstable, you know, I don't see how those video games can be a great help to them in overcoming some of their issues.
I don't think I see more violence in my students. I think what I see is a desensitivity to violence. I think what happens is, if you're talking about video games, you play enough video games or watch enough violent movies, you kind of just become desensitized to it.
I don't know if it's an increased violence, but I definitely see behaviors, you know, related more to maybe increased alcohol and drug use.
I can't speak specifically to drug use. What I can say is that I think that there are students, there are adults who even become compulsively involved with gaming, and I think that when that happens, you know, it makes sense that certain things like relationships and engagement in other activities diminishes because there's only so much time in the day. So, you know, I have seen that kids who become heavily involved in gaming, you know, maybe become more isolative in terms of, you know, face-to-face contact with family and friends. I've also seen certainly academics decline.
You know, it all depends also on how much students play video games. I think, you know, obviously the students playing games every day, it really depends on how much a student plays, depending on how the effect is.
You know, I think as a school social worker, the greatest impact that I've seen just anecdotally on students is on sleep. Oftentimes when I'm talking to students about, you know, feeling exhausted or overwhelmed and staying up late, you know, sometimes it's because of work and other times it's because of, you know, video game playing.
It all depends as to what video games the student is playing and how much and the degree to which the video games are violent.
In my experience, you know, thankfully we haven't had students here who've been known to be terribly violent, so I can't say firsthand whether I've known video games to cause violence.
So video games can be violent, but they don't seem to have that much of an effect on the majority of well-adjusted students. Linking increased violence in video games doesn't look at the big picture of all the factors that contribute to violent behaviors. For better or for worse, video games are a zeitgeist of the time, and they don't seem to be causing that much of a problem.